I did talk to Scott Grinley about before I contacted this organization to find out, because my concern was trash and other things going into the harbor. And so as you can see, just when there was a trash can moved to the other side, and now trash is now getting in the tide line there. So my appeal would be, can we just, you guys have been so great to have trash cans along Surfers Beach where the skate park is, and this would be a great, there's a lot of use there, as you can see, and this is just 2 days of photos. So I would just appeal to you to put the trash can back there if you could. And I appreciate that you guys are funding that as well. But it's well used and does a great service, and it keeps the P2 down, which we are all concerned about.
It keeps what down?
The pollution prevention.
Oh.
Yeah, which I know all wastewater plants have to report on that. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what can be done in terms of, because I know other people have emailed in the past, I've gotten a lot of things. I think in general, especially Mondays, there's some people that, you know, there's community people that do it on their own and walk the beach and pick up trash, and people that remove it. But what can we do to increase the number of receptacles on, you know, especially on the coastal?
Well, the original problem that happened here, and Dilly and I are still trying to figure this out because there have been a lot of emails over the past, I guess, month on this, and one of the solutions we thought would be to remove the garbage can from the area so people would stop dumping, because what was happening is they would dump into the can would get full, it would overflow, and it just was just...
It overflowed because Recology was not emptying it.
Right, well, and so that's the question now, was Recology emptying it? Were they emptying it only once a week, and it needed to be 3 times a week, and that's what we've got to go through the past. So we're aware of this problem. Our goal wasn't to cause a trash problem, it was to solve one, and we're obviously trying to do that now. So it may be the answer is that we're going to go put a couple cans out there that have the smaller openings that doesn't allow people to dump household trash and fill it up, because that's what's happening. Some people are coming in, filling it up with household trash, and people walk by with their cans, and it starts spilling over.
And Julia, did you ever get on Nextdoor?
Yes.
Okay. So have you seen
I
the?
saw the
All right.
yes.
So we're aware of the problem. We're working to resolve it.
Okay. Can you report on this at our regular
Absolutely.
meeting next week?
Absolutely.
Okay. Laura Stein, what does that say?
Digital packets.
Oh, digital packets. Okay. Your writing's as good as mine.
I had to do it on the corner of that chair with a pen that didn't work. I've been here many times over the years.
Really?
Requesting, yes.
Are we supposed to count the 4 years you were on this board?
Well, we could include that too. Please, could the district put on the agenda providing electronic packets for the community, particularly now that you're going to be providing park services? There has to be better communication with your ratepayers. I don't want to come down here to read packet material. So if you could do that, please.
I agree. And what Chuck and I should probably have a conversation about how we can do this. But I think initially we're probably going to end up just putting full scanned packets there, which are a pain for some people to download. Not me. I can download them.
We actually do this at my other districts, and what we do is we convert all our Word and Excel files into PDFs and then combine them all. So
right.
we can do it.
That's what Sam used to do, which is the right way to do it.
Yeah, so we could do that here. It's just a little bit of a learning curve and figure out if we have the right software and whatnot.
Okay. So
I don't think, and you're all in favor of this, I assume?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, so I'll work with Delia, and if we need to, we'll talk to you, Leonard.
So if you can't get that all set up for the regular meeting a week from now, if you could at least put up a scanned version of that packet as a stopgap, because Laura had previously told me she'd be okay with that.
Pardon me, I had another conversation from a rowdy community member.
I said Laura had previously told me she'd be okay with the scanned packet. I don't like scanned packets because they're huge and you can't do cut and paste and you can't do searching. And
Could I suggest this? I'm first and then you can talk. Okay. Just do it the, how shall I say, the not perfect way.
right.
Just to get it rolling.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm suggesting is a stopgap. If you could get the next one up as a scanned document at least, assuming you can't work out all the technicalities of doing the combined PDF. So that'd be great.
It's his turn now.
I didn't put a slip in that. You said be community friendly.
Yeah, but the people who submitted slips should probably
No, I'm trying to just piggyback on all of
and keep in mind that the people watching on the video are probably not going to be able to hear you.
At some point, make it searchable. Otherwise, it's very difficult if somebody wants to go back and find it out. I know that other boards have that same.
When you say searchable, you mean like Google?
PDF or whatever, make sure that the documents is searchable.
All right, I'll talk to Chuck about that and make sure he knows that stuff. Okay, Dale. So, do you really want to do this under non-agenda, or do you want to do this as part of the whole big?
Confused about which box to click, so.
Well, I think if I understand, I mean, this could go either way. It's kind of your call. He wants to comment on the post office lot. Should we consider that non-agenda?
Not so much on the lot, but on the meetings and discussions that have been held that probably the general public doesn't know about, and I'd like to just.
Okay, yeah, maybe that is more appropriate now than part of the regular agenda.
Yeah.
Mr. President, before he does that, I haven't reported out of closed session.
Right.
So why don't I go ahead and do that, and I think it's relevant to what he wants to speak about. Although this is not required by law to be reported out from closed session, the board has authorized me to report that the board has directed its general manager to seek an appraisal on the post office lot as soon as possible.
Thank you. Okay, Dale.
2 weeks ago, I attended a fire district meeting, and I went along with a friend, Bob Klein, and we're proponents of parks here in the district. And that's why we're a community services district. We fought very hard in the election to get a good voting margin, and thankfully it all happened. There have been 2 schools of, and then one thing that has happened that was announced in the Half Moon Bay Review on the 27th of August was that there are 2 districts that both have an interest in the same lot that's up for sale by the Harbor District. And so you probably, if anybody here is not aware of that, I could go further, but I'll just stop there. So there have been kind of 2 schools of thought as to, well, what should speaking from the taxpayer and the voter point of view, some of us have put ourselves in the shoes of what would the people want and why might they want it, and others have been more pushing for, let's get this, this famous quote made about they aren't making any more land,
Mark Twain.
So there it is, let's get it. What Bob Klein and I in particular have done, and we're 2 active people in the community, have said, well, rather than taking an all or nothing approach, like let's get it, it's there, maybe there's some opportunities we ought to explore in the community for seeing what the interest of that other party is in buying that lot. It's the post office, the land next to the post office, if you aren't aware of it. We went to the fire district meeting 2 weeks ago to bring up that question, and in particular, I got up and gave a talk that was very short. It was less than 3 minutes, and I just said that obviously there are two in the press. There are 2 districts that are interested in the property. That both express interests. What are those interests, and what really does each party want, and is there any opportunity for us to have some talks and get some discussion going? And of course, that will be going on in negotiation. But as public citizens, I'm not elected. I'm an independent. I'm not party affiliated, and so on and so forth. I just want to know answers to things. So did Bob. The question, so I brought up the issue that there are a lot of trade-offs possible there. Certainly, we would have the largest interest in the portion that is repairing and too narrow to develop on. It's called a gateway zoning portion of the lot, and then there's another portion that's commercial. So there are trade-offs there, and I mentioned that in this 2-minute talk, and I said that that if the two districts got together and had gradual talks, so they might find that there are some things that can be done together that would, avoid one district biting off the whole thing and paying up for it too, versus something done collaboratively where costs are shared. Another thing that could possibly be done would be to basically to get through an approval process faster, because if the county saw that two local districts got together, actually three, with a seller and a buyer, I think the skids would be greased a little better for that. And the other thing is, if that was really done, then there would be a more elaborate explanation to the public of what the trade-offs were that the two districts came together on, and it would be more palatable to the public. I think the district risks quite a bit if it says all or nothing. You risk losing it altogether, and also you risk the process dragging out so long enough that perhaps someone with a private party with deep pockets comes by and just swoops in and takes the whole thing. So I said these things in the meeting, and I sat down, and my speaker form came back to me and had a phone number on it. And Paul Cole, the chief, said, call this number, Gary Burke would like to talk with you. And so Gary Burke is the president of the fire district. Well, so Bob and I shared this information, and I called him the next day, and Gary was fairly free with information about what some of the constraints were on them and what their wishes were. But he said, I'd like to, if it were all possible, talk with a board member on a very informal basis, no quorum, no business transacted, but over a cup of coffee. And so a week later, which was a week back from today, Bob and I hosted a coffee at the Half Moon Bay Coffee House, and Gary and Matthew spent an hour talking freely, and Matthew less because he had on.
Matthew Clark, our board president. Right?
Yeah, Matthew is your board president. So the two board presidents met, and Matthew couldn't say too much because only the day before this district became a community services district. And so you as a board had not had any chance to discuss. Anyway, it was a very interesting and a free session, and a number of things were learned. Today, the two of us circulated an email to, I think, all of the board members here, and some of the people we had on a circulation list for Granada Parks, which were the group that promoted Measure G for the elections. So we probably have that in circulation, about 50 people at this point. But the document does show that there are a lot of trade-offs. There were some surprises the common thinking is that the fire district wants everything. They don't. There's a common thinking that that certain things can't be done, and they can. And so I just urge the board to be open-minded about this and to look into it seriously. And it may be a very good thing. It may be that the public, the taxpayers, and the voters, like me and you and you and you, can all come out with getting some pretty productive contributions to the new parks program, while at the same time getting some other things that will make everybody fairly happy with the result they get for the money outlay that both districts might have to do. So that's about the long and short of it. So I would urge you to contact Matthew Clark, our board president here, or find out I'm available. If people want to contact me, and I can give you my email later. I think it's on the forum. And we'll circulate more information about the talk. So we did this as private citizens. We wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity for some talks to occur. And I think we've started the process, and good luck. I think it'll be good.
Thanks for the report. I did hear a significant amount of that from Matthew this afternoon. I finally managed to get him to call me.
Is he okay? Is he sick? Or?
He has another commitment.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Apparently scheduled long in advance.
Okay.
Because I'm sure he would like to be here for this first meeting.
Any quick questions? Did you understand what I was trying to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Does the fire district want the corner at Obispo and Portola? Or does it want the other end?
They did say on that. They definitely want to build a new firehouse. And the ideal best spot is on the post office lot. But they don't want the whole lot. And they are going to build a much smaller firehouse than was previously thought in the community. And consequently, there's even an opportunity perhaps for a plaza to be on the corner and a smaller firehouse down the way, and maybe something else. That's for the boards to try to work out.
Okay, that last bit is significantly important news, which Matthew didn't pass on to me. So, yeah, it sounds like we do need to have some more serious discussions with the fire district.
The other thing that's interesting is the fire district does own outright, free of liens and mortgages and everything else, the existing firehouse.
Which they paid roughly $500,000 for somewhere around 5 years ago.
Oh, it's 55 years old. You're talking the one that's in Hampton Bay?
No, the one right here, it was on a 50-year lease from the Harbor District, and the lease ran out. It was like $1 a year lease. The lease ran out. The general manager there wanted a bunch of money. The fire district said, we're not going to pay that. And they negotiated the sale. But, that's the problem with long-term leases. They run out. It's spelled Hong Kong.
Right. So, okay, well, thank you very much.
I do have a question. I'm totally confused. There's been a lot of contentious talk about this. I'm not sure what all.
Well, I would say not contentious, but we all want we all like to see the community services district that's going to provide us parks and recreation services have a community center at some point that it maybe acquire in this. In acquiring this parcel, there is part of it that cannot be developed commercially and is not really attractive to developers, but could be a small pocket park or a small park area that augments Granada surf and augments the state surfers beach and so forth.
Well, we can actually go into a lot more of those kind of details on the regular agenda item.
So did you?
I'm just wondering where things stand.
Oh,
right
so where things stand is I think there has been a little division, is too strong a word, but a little difference of opinion about how the Granada Community Services District should approach that availability of that lot, because the Harbor District is offering it for sale. It's been offered for sale going back to August at least. And I think one group says, well, let's go for the whole thing, all ourselves. And another group is saying, well, won't that cost us quite a bit? And what are the benefits? What are the costs? And additionally, can we do this for less money out, but a more cooperative distribution of the acquisition between two districts, and a proper distribution of benefits to the two districts, the fire district and the community service district. So that's the difference of what one group has wanted to acquire everything and to do it all with one district, and other people like Bob and myself would like to see the taxpayer interests and the voter interest there in whether or not there's a square deal and whether it's all good for the community.
Where do things stand at this point in time? And the reason I ask is the Midcoast Community Council had talked to the fire chief. He's going to come to a meeting to report, and then he needed to talk to Gary Bush, and that didn't happen. And he did not come because there is a lot of misconception about what's happening. So is there any change?
No, really, not yet, because the Community Services District is only, 7 days, or 9 days old now. And so maybe Chuck will speak to this, or Leonard will speak to this a little later,
Okay,
but
thank you.
the wheels are starting to turn, and the motor's going.
All right, thanks, Dale. We should move along.
Sure. Thank
So,
you for the time.
Dan Haggerty. I'm wondering if I should point out on the aerial photo for people who are watching and may not know exactly where the land is, if you could zoom in over here. Now I got to try and do this without getting blinded by the reflection. Am I being picked up from this distance on audio? I won't be able to get the microphone here. I hope I'm getting picked up on audio. The post office is right here. The existing fire station is right here. The parcel we're talking about runs from Obispo all the way down to Coronado. So it's a fairly large parcel. Only a 10,000 square foot section at this end is zoned C1 neighborhood commercial. The whole rest of it is zoned El Granada Gateway, which is an extremely limiting zoning. There's very little you can do in the El Granada Gateway zoning. Dan.
Okay, thank you. Dan Haggerty, El Granada, 25 years. I'm also on the Midcoast Community Council, but I'm speaking just for myself. I said some of this, a lot of it earlier, but the camera wasn't here, so I just kind of race through, just cover the basics, if that's all right. That, here we are in the first meeting for Granada Community Services District, and I did not want to advocate for going right in and asking to purchase such an expensive piece of property. But the property that we're talking about, the El Granada Post Office lot, is the essence of El Granada. It's the jewel lot on the one block downtown of the jewel community of the jewel of the all of San Mateo Coastside. So it's the epicenter. And we and others that live near this location can reach it within a bicycle ride or a walk, or they could drive their car. There's so much natural beauty in the area. So I just want to be clear that it has been proposed. I have a little sketch. A lot of you have seen it. Essentially, a small building in the back triangle of the lot, which could be a small commercial space on the ground level, and above could be the offices of our Granada Community Services District with a large community room overlooking the ocean. And when this room is not used for public meetings like this, it could be scheduled for birthday parties for community members, maybe a family reunion, who knows, a wedding. It could be discussed what other ideas might make sense. And then on the ground level, in the front portion of the triangle of the corner of Obispo and Portola, could be all open with some park benches, and people of the community can come there. And when you sit down on a bench at that location, you look out, you see the ocean. When you're across the street in Burnham Strip and you're sitting down, all you see is the berm of the road. So this could be a great place to sit and chat and meet, make friends. It could be scheduled for an art show, a farmer's market on the weekends, whatever's appropriate. We could have a fundraising chili cook-off, a small community. I know that on the side of the post office building, I've seen it with my own eyes at nighttime, I saw a bunch of kids and family members cuddled up in little folding chairs watching a a projected movie off the wall of the post office. So, you know, that says town center right there. The key thing is with this design, and specifically not half of this being a fire station, which I really don't, I'm not closed, but I'm skeptical that could work. But, you know, this design would really enhance the value, all the property values in the surrounding area, not just El Granada, but all the surrounding areas. It would help the realtors, I think. Somebody that comes here, they'd make up their mind a lot faster that this is where they want to live, or just hang out more often. The business owners on the downtown, I talked to the hardware store, I talked with one of the owners at the Hot Dogma. You know, they all recognize the value of having more town life on the block, which would enhance their businesses. And you know, they're not, let's face it, they're not, you know, painting, they're not in the deep green. They're kind of, you know, kind of just making it. We want them to be, we want them to survive and be there for our community. You know, on the contrast, a fire station at that location would be an economic and a town life. It would be a dead zone in that respect. There's really no reason to go in and out of a fire station unless you're a fireman and you're going on a call or coming or leaving for work. It wouldn't add really to the economy. That is really, you know, I just wanted to repeat that, you know, I pledge to see that the fire district gets whatever they need to make our community safe in that respect. Pardon?
You know that's what I think is fire come first. I was just...
Yeah. Well, community comes first. Community decides what it wants, in my opinion. So that's all. Thank you.
I have a letter from Lenny Schultz, who works on Wednesday nights, which I will read when there are no other people in the audience who still wish to speak on non-agenda. I'm a little confused about a couple of the request forms here. I think Chris Johnson, this is really clear that he wants to speak on the regular agenda item. But Diane Ross, you indicated item 1, which was the closed session item, but then you wrote implement plan RE LAFCO presentation. So it sounds like you really want to speak on the regular agenda item. Yes. Okay. And Fran, you also put item 1. Fran?
One on regular agenda?
No, I asked for unique numbers on the agenda so they're not repeated between open and closed session. So the regular agenda item is 5, so that's really what you wanted to speak on? Yeah. Okay.
So then, I forgot a very important element, 2 sentences. Can I just say?
Okay.
I just wanted to say that with very little effort, I stood in front of the post office and I collected approximately 230 community members' signatures in support of this plan. And I haven't had a lot of free time, but expect to continue to do this, and my target is 1,000 signatures of support.
Okay, so I'll read the letter from Lenny so that it's on the record. And this is Lenny Schultz, who don't remember if she said it. Yeah, okay, she said that in there. Honorable GCSD directors, it is so hard to say GCSD instead of GSD.
Get used to it.
Get used to it.
Good point.
Honorable GCSD directors, manager Chuck Duffy, staff. I'm a longtime resident of El Granada, a former local elected official. She was on this board for 4 years, quite some time ago. Co-chair of the Burnham Strip Committee, and most recently the co-chair of the Granada Parks Committee for the passage of Measure G. I have been active in many community issues. And then there's 10 numbered items here. I'm not going to actually read the numbers. The GSD has spent over $500,000 since 2005 on leasing the GSD offices. Please stop dumping our tax money into leasing of office space and instead acquire space for our own needed GCSD offices. I'm advocating the GCSD acquisition of the APN 047261030, the land known as the post office lot, as soon as possible. Part of this land is zoned C1 neighborhood commercial, 11,000 square feet, and part is zoned EG, El Granada Gateway, 2 acres, and it is invaluable to our community. The parcel could accommodate not only our GCSD offices, but a community center someday in the future if the community wants that. In addition, a plaza or gathering area could be combined with a few user-friendly commercial businesses for our community. Please move the de facto parking lot off of the Burnham Strip, soon to be parkland, and place the parking on the post office lot. Much needed restrooms could be placed on the post office lot. A children's play area could be placed on the post office lot. I believe the Burnham Strip should be used as a multi-use passive ocean view park with a perimeter trail and a park course. A beautiful skate park should have its own area out of the immediate town center and out of the direct view corridor. Coastal Act policies should be adhered to in the planning of our GCSD projects, in particular the visual resource component. The Burnham Strip Park should use the much cherished and highly used Marina Green in San Francisco as its prototype. A field trip to the Marina Green in San Francisco may be useful and inspiring for orientation to this idea of a highly used passive park. I will gladly take anyone on a field trip who wishes to see the Marina Green for themselves. And trust me, she likes to take people to see Marina Green. And it's signed Lenny Schultz, and it has her phone number on there. So with that, I have one announcement, which is our quarterly recycling event drop-off day. I assume this is either on the website or will be on the website shortly. It's, as always, the fourth Saturday of the quarter, so it's October 25th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the foot of Portola on the district-owned property. And this is for people who are residents of Granada Community Services District and who also must be Recology customers, and you can drop off things there that you would otherwise have to truck up to Pacifica and drop off at their recycle yard. And let's see, I think we're ready to go to the regular agenda. What's the staff discussion there? Are we
Putting
ready?
a flyer on our website.
Okay, so, all right. So let's go to the regular agenda. Do we want to do the ministerial stuff first to make sure we get that done?
We could. Rick, did you want to mention something about the recycled water?
I can do that under the regular SAM agenda.
We don't have that.
We don't have that.
Oh, we don't have that.
Next week.
I didn't, since I left the packet at home and brought the wrong packet here. We had another meeting, and in case folks don't know, SAM, or Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side, has formed a recycled water committee with a representative from each of the 3 districts, and we've been meeting about 4 or 5 times so far. Our first step is to rewrite and agree upon the principles of agreement, and this has to do with who's going to be in charge of what sections, who distributes the water, who builds the plant, all those kinds of items. We came up with a draft a couple days ago. This will be taken to the regular SAM meeting, which is Monday, 2 Mondays from now, the 20th, no, 27th.
27th.
This will be shown to the regular SAM people who have to vote on it before it's formally sent out to all the agencies involved. We decided, however, to go ahead and distribute this to the different groups like CCWD, Montera, Half Moon Bay, and us, to show people ahead of time what we're thinking about, to gather more information and more ideas that we can present at the meeting on the 27th. So This group will have a copy for next week's meeting, and if you have any additional comments you want to make, thoughts, you'll be able to look at it then at the meeting. All the other groups will be looking at it. I just saw an email before I came that our SAM manager has received a whole bunch of input and wants to have another recycle meeting next week, so we'll probably be refining this as we go. Our goal is to wrap this up at the meeting at the end of the month and just move this forward. We want to get into financing then, we want to get into design, quotations. We want to make this happen. So I challenge you guys, since I'll be in Ontario next week, come up with any other ideas and get them to me so we can discuss them all at the SAM meeting at the end of the month. This is a big project. The original phase 1 is going to be to do the golf course. There's a pipeline in place. We just need to hook up to the pipeline, get the recycling equipment in, and move forward with phase 1. We put in some more language. The first agreement was basically just looking at phase 1. I made sure that we added sufficient verbiage that it is a multi-phase project with more projects in the future. It's not just do the golf course and quit. And I want to discuss everything now because there's so many options.
Did you make sure there's a provision in there that we can somehow get some recycled water here to water the Burnham Strip on the Boulevard?
That will be all part of the phase 2, and whether we have to truck it or pipe it, or there's tons of options. The real quick thing is the golf course needs lots of water at certain times, but not all the time. There's lots of times when we're going to have excess capacity. The expensive part is always putting in new pipelines. There are some interesting options on driving a truck by, filling up the truck, and coming over here, watering the Burnham Strip. There are lots of inexpensive ways we're looking at also. All those are on the table. So really it's getting the basic framework in and get phase 1 started to show we can do it, get the water, start saving water as fast as we possibly can, because everybody obviously knows we're in the middle of a drought. So we'll be reporting on that at every meeting here. So, and Delia has a copy, so she'll be able to distribute that to you folks for next week's meeting.
Can you get the committee meetings agendas posted on the SAM website? Because Monday night there was apparently a Half Moon Bay City Council candidate forum or something or other, and Councilmember Alifano was not there and said that he was at a SAM meeting. Apparently it was a committee meeting that wasn't on the website, so I think it'd be useful to get the committee meetings listed with their agendas.
We can do that.
I think that'd be good. Okay, so regular agenda. We have some ministerial stuff that I'm assuming we can whip through really quick. By the way, something that's often done at public meetings, except we don't usually have people in the audience, is to recognize other officials. And I hope Dave doesn't mind that I point out that we have San Mateo County past Parks Director and was it Assistant County Manager? Kind of hard to keep track of the difference between deputy assistant, assistant deputy, whatever. Dave Holland is a
much better retired. And a resident here.
In Half Moon Bay, I believe.
No, Granada.
Oh, really? Welcome.
Where the cool people live.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Jonathan, Chuck.
What are you looking for?
Because I want to allow as much time as we can for the public discussion, and we don't know how long that'll run for. I think it might be best to do the ministerial stuff, which I guess
It's only a consent agenda, so we have nothing else.
Well,
And we got to go back to closed. I think you should just go with the meeting on item 5.
I was specifically thinking whatever you had in mind for 5B. What do we have to do for 5B?
I think it's better to hear from the public. I mean, basically, 5B is to say that we are a successor agency of the Granada Sanitary District as of now. So there's not going to be a much immediate change But there will be different procedural changes as we go forward, but I don't think the public, from budgets to how we adopt ordinances to those kind of things. But I think the public is probably here to give you their input on 5A.
So I assume that we don't have any staff report or anything, so we should go directly to public comment?
Well, yeah, I can just report that the certificate of completion was filed on October 1st by LAFCO, which at the time we became officially a CSD. So we got all that legal description complete. When you said ministerial, I thought you were talking about other items. I didn't realize it was on this. So we've got that all complete. We got the legal description done a day before the thing, so it was quite an effort there. So it all happened October 1st.
Maybe I'll just add that we have a contract with County Parks they approved on September 30th to help us implement the Parks and Recreation aspect.
Boy, right on time.
Yeah, just made it. We have a contract with Half Moon Bay about that portion of Half Moon Bay. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Farm Bureau and with the Resource Conservation District. So it's all part of this. I won't go into any detail about it. I think it's more, the idea here, right, is to hear what the public has for your board as far as input.
Okay, well, we'll start out with the three that I have speaker request forms for. Fran Pollard.
Good evening and congratulations on becoming a community services district. Okay, Fran Pollard, Granada. I was also here, Dan and I came at the, before the closed session to encourage maybe if it's possible to, negotiate for the lot, for the post office lot. So we spoke before at 6:30. And then we did that the previous meeting also. I've also been to Lenny Schultz and I were co-chair of the Granada Parks Committee, which campaigned for Measure G, which created the CSD. So just want to say that we also went to the Harbor District meetings, the Fire District meeting, went to the last two Fire District meetings concerning the lot, and spoke to them about, maybe, I think the majority of people here would prefer that they remodel the current fire station. If they need it bigger, it can be made bigger over there. And save that spot, like Dan said, because it's really an ideal location for a community center, for the GSD office, for community activity, socializing, and everything else that overlooks the Burnham Strip. And, but first of all, I think we need to fix the Burnham Strip. It's been a mess long enough, and I'd really like to see it turned into a nice park that people can enjoy. And as I said to Dave, when I spoke earlier, we spoke at the previous meeting, again, before closed session, so none of that was ever televised. But we came to promote purchase of the lot. And I know Dave was a little upset with that, so I said, it's real estate. When we were campaigning to create the community services district, one of the things I said, don't talk about buying any land. We need to fix the park first, and we need to, maybe fix the boulevards. But as with real estate, this came up right when this was being formed. So you have to jump in when the occasion arises. You can't say, well, let's wait till next year, and then the fire district buys it and it's a fire department there. And so, we're out of luck. So I'd really rather see that lot preserved. It'd be great if we could work together, but I don't see how a fire station, well, yeah, but fire trucks coming in and out are not compatible with community sitting around talking and using and everything else. Now, I don't know. Would it be appropriate to invite fire district board members to come here and speak, maybe at the next meeting or something.
I have a meeting with Chief Cole early next week, and I'll make some recommendation based on how that meeting goes.
Okay. All right, that's all I want to say. I think that really that's a better use for the community is if we have it, rather than the fire district and having fire trucks coming in and out. And one of the things they wanted was a drive-through, which means they want to drive through from one end to the other, taking up all the post office parking. So that would really eliminate.
It's not, that's out of the plans.
Oh, that's out of the plan
Yeah,
now.
what-
This is the communique that we distributed today.
I didn't see that, so.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. Matthew told me that on the phone, but I didn't see it.
Sent an email, Bob,
Yeah,
I gave to all of Granada Park. One went to you.
But I don't remember seeing that. Yeah, I got the email, but I don't remember seeing that. I'll look at it again.
You have one. And anybody in the Granada Parks group. And Matthew Clark has copies of, has a copy that he can generate for whoever needs it.
Okay. Well, we need to hear what they have to say, I guess, so.
And for the record, Fran, I've actually also spoken with Paul Cole at the fire
Oh.
department, so we've been in contact.
Do you want to give a summary of what you,
Well, we just had initial talks, and, you know, we're both looking at the same piece of property, so Paul actually called me up and said, hey, is there some kind of joint venture we could do? And I said, I don't know, but let's talk. It makes sense, you know, as long as everyone, you know, gets what they need, then maybe. So we're still talking about
Okay.
it, so we'll see what happens from that. And I'm going to call him after this meeting tonight, so.
I actually did talk to him at some length today, and part of the problem here is that the planning director at the county has told fire district that they can build on the C1, but they can't build a fire station on EG, and that's just simply not true. So that issue needs to be resolved of incorrect information coming from the planning director himself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Diane Ross.
Good evening. My name is Diane Ross, El Granada. Over the past few days, I have done a computer search and looked at various reports that citizens and different committees had put together about the needs for recreation and parks here on the coast. And then I looked at your LAFCO application, and I realized that it's a very good application, and it's quite modest given the incredible cost of just about doing anything. And there were some numbers in the 2007 report that were rather extraordinary. So I'm encouraging you to do what you said in your application. Work on do some modest cleanup initially on the strip, and then start working on the avenues and the medians. You'll have probably hundreds of dead and dying trees, and that's just a very expensive proposition in terms of dealing with it, and I'm sure that the planning process is going to be lengthy, so I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. I would think that the dealing with the trees is going to be way beyond the abilities of this district, because that can cost $1,000 to $5,000 for each one of those trees that you have to take out.
And I also want to point out that's actually county right-of-way property, so it's not our responsibility, thankfully.
Right.
And just for the record, we've got all those reports and whatnot on our website, so if you go into the CSD tab, they're all located right there. So.
Free firework for the community.
Well, as a matter of fact, during the 97-98 El Nino, when we had a lot of trees coming down, including one that fell across Avenue Alhambra that had to be about 15 feet in diameter at the base, ripped out a big chunk of curb as it came down. The county employees are really smart about this. They come along and they dice it up into pieces small enough for people to carry away. so that they don't have to dispose of it. They figure they'll just cut it up, leave it there, and people take it, haul it off, and age it and use it as firewood. It's pretty funny. I love it. And the last speaker request form I have is Chris Johnson. So then after that, what I would propose is that we hear some preliminary comments from directors and then see if there's further community comments. We also have Sam Hertzberg from County Parks here, and he may have some comments. And I also had in mind taking a break sometime during the meeting for a little miniature party type thing, and so I see there's a package of chocolate chip cookies, and Dilly apparently wasn't planning on this many people showing up. So looks like everybody gets 1 or 2 cookies. Can't.
Sparkling cider.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Leonard. Congratulations, guys. I mean, you really worked hard. There's a lot of work that went into it, and I really appreciate it. I know the community really appreciates it. Also, members of the community that worked so hard on this. Thank you very much. So now, now it's time for the next stage, and my name is Chris Johnson. I'm a resident of El Granada. I am also a member of the Mid-Coast Community Council, but I'm speaking here today as a private citizen. I'm an active person, and I have a 7-year-old, so I have the good fortune to talk with a lot of people who have children. And every time I'm at soccer games and jiu-jitsu and other things, and I'm always asking them, hey, GCSD is coming, it's coming, what do you want? What do you want to see? What what is there? So if I could just, what I've passed out to the board is a list of ideas taken from a survey of El Granada school children ages 5 to 13. I'm not sure, I think there's 30 or 35 things on there. This was just a kind of an ad hoc, off the cuff, so there's many other things that are possible. So considering this list, I just want to go over a couple of suggestions that I would like to make to the board as they move forward as a community services district. First would be, and I know you're going to do this anyways, but it's part of my spiel here. So first, please consider the needs of the community first and foremost. I mean, that seems like it goes without saying, but as part of that, engage the community proactively. The community is really, they participated in the voting. They're waiting to see what there is, and they want to be a part of. They're going to live whatever you do. They're going to live it on a daily basis. So, let's proactively reach out. Let's have big community meetings. Let's have a barbecue down there at the post office lot where we're getting around to talk about what we're going to do. That kind of festive atmosphere, community atmosphere, that really should go hand in hand with what you guys are trying to do here. And as far as consider the needs of the community first and foremost, like I said, I talk with a lot of parents of children. One of the things that community really needs, we do have open space, we do have trails, we do have things like that. The community needs apparatus, items, hardware, things for children to do, and not just a slide and a swing at a playground. Then we need stuff for 7 to 18-year-olds. And in addition to that, we need programming, not just physical stuff. We need programming. We need services. We need leagues. We need games. We need contests. Something like that brings the community together and gives these children something to do. I really see a dearth of opportunities for children, and that's why I asked these children to compile this list. This is the things that are in their heads. And they need this. These things are not available pretty much anywhere on the coast side. We need these things that are on the list, and the children want them. The second major point would be, please think about developing a list of short, mid-range, and long-term goals, and work on each of those silos concurrently. And as part of that, do something right away. Do something, build something, put something in place as fast as you can. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. It can be a simple thing, but do something right away. Show the community that this is real, this is happening, and you're the people to do it, and we're going to do this.
I have to state for the record that I did not pay Chris to say this.
3, I've said before, as we were in the run-up to this, that I feel that the move to GCSD is a bold move. And I want the board to continue with that, and that is think boldly and out of the box. Think about what and how we can do things, not about what can't be done. Without getting, too pie in the sky, there's almost nothing that can't be done. Like, let's really be positive and think about what we can do, what we want to do, and what we can do. We can do it. And last, proactively and positively contact and engage other organizations, including other special districts, the county, state, the school district, nonprofits. It should be a community effort that radiates well beyond the boundaries of the Granada Community Services District. As part of that, fact-finding missions. Reach out to other communities, other CSDs, and experts to find out how they got things done. My family likes to vacation in Maui occasionally, and I'm always impressed when I drive down the main strip between Lahaina and Kaanapali. On the mountainside, there is just a ton of public recreation stuff. There's ball fields, there's skate parks, there's a swimming pool complex. Now, I'm not saying that a CSD made those things. It could be county, it could be state, but those things are there in an environment similar to here, where the beauty of the environment and the environmental protection of the environment is a top priority. So those things can be done. How did it happen? I ask that, if we come to a stumbling block, if we don't know how to, address point 3, which is think about what we can do and do it, that we reach out to experts and other communities and find out what they did. And, last, I just want to thank you again and say, let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great comments, Chris.
Can you read what some of the things?
Oh, yeah.
Can we get some copies of this made?
So some interesting things, and they've got things like grass fields, of course, but balancing sticks, which are things planted in the ground that you kind of walk on, a ball wall, a clubhouse, a cement slide like in Golden Gate Park, a Quidditch field, which is a Harry Potter thing, but kind of like an interesting thing. Where else? That's a community draw, and also a really interesting thing for the community. Where else is there a Quidditch field, right? What else have we got? A slack line, a tire swing, a tree house, tube slides, a zip line. I know that some of these things there's liability issues and they're going to be hard to do, but that's just a sampling of some of the things that the kids want and need, and these are physical things that they can do. Those things are non-existent right now in our community. I feel like this organization is well positioned to contribute to that. Thank you.
And I think a number of those things are going to be very problematic to try and do on the Burnham Strip property, and would be more appropriate uphill at the back of the back end of the bottom part of Quarry Park. And so, we can work with county parks on that kind of thing in that location. One of the things that I forgot that I wanted to mention at the beginning of the meeting, this has been a 14-year process. The original memo to the board of directors proposing this reorganization was submitted to the board in July of 2000. And some people early this year and late last year were trying to delay the vote, saying, what's the rush, what's the rush? Well, there are kids graduating high school that were toddlers when this was first proposed. So they've missed out on the opportunities because this has dragged on for so long. We did not rush it through. And I just wanted to be really clear about that. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about as part of this meeting is how to go about, and we don't have to finalize it tonight, but I want to come up with some way that we can survey the broader community, not just the people who are able to carve out the time to come to these meetings, but when somebody does come to the meeting or sends email or makes a phone call and says, you should do this, I think the district really needs to get a feel for, how broad is the support for that particular request. And then we look at the things and, something that 5 people want, it's, well, okay, that's probably going to be a lot lower priority than if we can determine that there's 300 people in the community that want that. So I'm looking for ideas on how we can, on a somewhat frequent basis, get get the sense of the community. So if anybody wants to speak to that, I'd kind of like to hear that at this point, if anybody has any ideas on that. One of the things I was thinking of is, potentially utilizing Nextdoor. We could also utilize SurveyMonkey with links from our website. With SurveyMonkey, it's really easy to set up polling. Those ideas sound reasonable?
I think so. I think there's some crowdsourcing software too that's specifically for public municipalities and projects and stuff. So we could look more into that. I know I've come across them before, but I think as a starting point, Nextdoor, SurveyMonkey, that's going to reach people. So it's it's a benefit in terms of getting having a central place for feedback.
Because starting up, we're going to have limited resources. It'll ramp up over years, but starting out, we're starting out with $50,000 a year the first year.
Yeah, and that's a placeholder to some extent. Yes.
So
I think maybe we should also look at the kind of old school, but sending out a newsletter saying, hey, we've got these powers now, because we couldn't do this before really because we're not allowed to advertise for it. We've got these powers now. Visit our website at blah, 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 if you want to create input, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I think we should do that. So why don't you put newsletter discussion on the agenda? I guess the agenda for next week is probably already set, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So. Wasn't thinking about that. The packets are probably done today or tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about a little bit what Chris Johnson talked about with this partnerships and collaboration. The county parks department signed our collaborative agreement. They're going to help us with running the park side of it for the first couple of years because they got the expertise. And Sam Hertzberg is here tonight.
And they've also got the staff.
And they've got the staff, right. So Sam,
staff.
I don't know if you wanted to say a couple words. You're good in the audience there. But we're working collaboratively with them to figure our way on this. So.
Well, let's say we'll give Sam the opportunity, but we're not going to twist his arm if he doesn't want to speak. So it's up to you.
Good evening. I've been involved in as the county park planner in
just tilt the thing, yeah.
Mid-Coast Park Planning for the last 14 years. Did the recreational needs assessment. Worked with Dave Holland on the Mid-Coast Action Plan. Worked on the park in lieu fees with Mary Burns, our prior park director. Been involved in a number of master plans, coastal trail plans. Design plans for a variety of facilities ranging from Quarry Park, Moss Beach Playground, Fitzgerald Coastal Trail, Fitzgerald Parking Lot, Devil's Slide. We're working on Green Valley Trail, a lot of different things. I'm really here tonight to find out what you need from county parks and be glad to continue the dialogue, in between meetings as well as at meetings, and await kind of your direction as how to best use county parks.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll have to set up a meeting soon to sit down at least on a staff level and talk about how we do this planning process and whatnot, because your resume sounds a little bit better than mine in parks. I've got a lot of sewer stuff, I've got that down, but that park stuff, I don't know.
So Sam, are you expecting or implying that you'll be our primary contact in the department? Okay.
So I'll contact you to set up a meeting.
So one of the things that I think It's really important to me and a number of the other people who have worked for years to both make the CSD happen and to save the whole Burnham Strip. And the district only owns 6 acres. The Burnham Strip's actually 14 acres, most of it, well, all the rest of it privately owned. So the only publicly owned parcel is what GSD bought for the wet weather storage facility underground. But something that many of us have wanted for a long time is for the surface of that property to be improved, because it's pretty unusable now on the surface. It's brutal to walk across it. You step in gopher holes, you step in ruts from years and years of illegal disking, and if that doesn't kill you, then pulling all the sharp plants out of your shoelaces when you get home might. So I would propose that one of our really early projects should be talk to RCD and find out what we can do to make the surface of that property a lot more usable with Marina Green as the target model. And, to get to that end stage, we're going to need the recycled water, because I've been told that people in the community will not be happy with us if we use potable water to grow grass there. That's been made really clear to me. So, maybe in the intermediate term, before the recycled water is available, there's some other essentially native plant that will tolerate being walked on, that'll be a much nicer surface than the what do we have there? Thistle and name everything sharp, and that's what's growing there. Is there support for that being one of our early things to look at? Is trying to improve that surface and make it usable?
Sure. I mean, that would be one of the, I think, the most visible and maybe one of the quickest things we can do. There are lots of things we can do, and we've discussed at various public meetings, everything from a park course to some picnic tables,
right. Well,
pop in and some easy things like that.
The real easy win is improve the surface, and as a connected but somewhat independent project, put out a number of benches and a couple tables. I think that's probably the single most frequent thing that I've heard, because that's a real easy thing to get done in a hurry. I don't know, process-wise, we'll have to hear something from our general manager on how we actually approach this and make it happen.
Well, I was laughing because you said that'll be very quick, and I thought, no. There's a lot of permitting there with the
at this meeting, we're tossing out ideas. We need to look for CDXs on a lot of this stuff. I don't want to be paying the county $4,000 for a CDP to put out a picnic table and benches. That's insane. And for those who don't know, the county charged us the CDP fee, many thousands of dollars for the half dozen doggy waste collection stations that we put up around El Granada. Laura?
Don't you normally have
Don't you normally decide a list how much it costs and you have a budget? I mean, this feels a little willy-nilly.
Well, that's why I'm looking to the general manager for, how do we go about it? So what you're saying would be part of the process. He'd come back and say, okay, this is probably going to cost you this much or whatever.
Well, and I think what's got to happen, and kind of when Leonard and I talked about this earlier, what we're looking at tonight is not to make some grandiose decisions about what's going to happen, but we're trying to figure out a planning process. How are we going to gather public input on this thing? And for that, I'm obviously going to lean heavily on Sam and put this process into place. So we're doing this, getting community input, whether it be on our website, an interactive form on the website, where we send out the newsletter and tell people, hey, if you want to do input, you don't have to come to the meeting. You can go to this interactive form and tell us what you're interested in and things like that. So I think we've got to put that process together. Then once that process is put together, we can put a list of projects in front of your board for discussion with numbers to them, and then we can create a plan and a budget and move forward from there. So I think the first stage is setting up, how do we go about planning this thing? So that makes sense?
Yep.
One more comment.
I just want to make sure people watching on video will be able to hear you.
I don't want them to miss it. I think Plan Princeton has been would be a very good project to look at as far as collecting community input. I think they've done an excellent job. That would be Supervisor Horsley's aide, Sarah Rosenbaum, that you could contact. But they have a website set up, and they've had different meetings, et cetera. But I see it as one that has been most connected to the community and getting a lot of good feedback easily on websites and what have you for people to access. Do you agree?
Yes. What was that woman's name?
Rosendahl.
I knew it was one of those.
Rosebud.
One of the things, let's be a little careful of those. I believe the expression is analysis paralysis. Let's not end up there. One of the other things I want to toss on the table, Gail.
There's one of the things I want to mention here. This is Gail Erickson, a former member of the board here. And I think it's really important. You asked before, how can we reach out to people? How can people know what's going on here? And I think one of the things, and I think that the county does it themselves, is you must look for volunteers. And I think the county parks use volunteers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of volunteers work on those parks. And I think it's really important to have a nice backbone of volunteers, and that's something you could start looking into right now. I think the volunteers are usually people who, they're not paid, they come and they do whatever's needed. And I think starting to look for volunteers would be a great way to get started. And the county parks, again, would be a good way of starting, too, a little bit, since they have experience in looking for volunteers and so forth. But that's true a lot of the other organizations. And as Jim knows, who's been a volunteer in parks for some time, that there's a lot of people who are right now would love to start doing some volunteer work. And I think getting the word out is a good place to start.
That's a great suggestion. And that reminds me of another comment I forgot to make at the beginning of the meeting. We're expecting the first flush sampling to be coming up maybe in a few weeks from now. We're hoping it'll rain. And so this is a program where a lot of volunteers are recruited to go out and sample at the first substantial rain, where all the crud that's built up over the year on the community streets gets washed off into the ocean. So we go sample the outfalls to see how bad is the stuff that's making it in the ocean. So anybody that's interested in helping out with that, somehow I got designated a team leader on this, because the guy that I normally partner with is Tony Pullen from SAM, who's announced he's retiring, and so he's now kind of invisible until he retires. He's hiding out. So if anybody thinks they might be interested in that, you're essentially on call for whenever the first substantial rain happens, which is usually at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not a problem for me, but probably a problem for most people. But if you might possibly be interested, I guess contact me through the district, or you can look me up in the white pages. I'm not going to say my name on my phone number on camera, but easily findable on the web. Dan.
I just wanted to echo what Gail just mentioned about the volunteer aspect. I think that's a great idea. Going back to the Granada Greens concept, I just would, I'm not against someday it being all green, but I would recommend for cost savings to implement in phases and with smaller batches of, let's say, an oval here, semicircle here, with some type of thing in between, crushed brown rock or something that could accept the drainage. If you break it up into smaller batches of phases, then groups of volunteers could come out and do this, because you really gotta. The battle is against the volunteers and the gophers, because you don't want to have a big project and then have it all destroyed the following weekend. Just wanted to say that.
And that actually has the advantage that, you know, if we're not sure what's going to work best, we can try out different things in different patches and see which things work out and abandon the ones that don't. And, yeah, I like that idea. So one of the things that I want to toss on the table and see if it goes down in flames or if people like the idea. A lot of people overestimate how much property we actually own there. And we own a little over half of what people think we do, because a lot of it's Caltrans right away. And I really, really think we need a perimeter fence. And I'm thinking a rope fence like 2 feet high, you know, something that anybody can easily step over. But just to make it clear what's our property and what's not. So.
A row of dandelions.
Yeah, are there maps available for that too? I think it might be a good idea.
I don't know, ask our general manager. Are there maps available?
Yeah, somewhere we have a survey also. So.
Somewhere. Where would that be?
In our records.
In any case, we really, really need to have the permanent boundary markers that I keep asking for, you know, even if the perimeter fence goes down in flames. And, you know, I'm not thinking of an obtrusive thing, you know, just where you have the posts every, I don't know what they are, 20 feet apart with the 2-inch diameter rope strung post to post. And one of the reasons for that is if there's even ad hoc recreational activities out on this parcel here, you know, we do have a highway there with people with a speed limit of 50 miles an hour and some people going faster than that. And there's apparently been substantial feedback to some of the people who were both working on Measure G and then later talking to residents about the post office lot. And I hadn't thought about this, so I was kind of surprised to hear it, but there's apparently been a lot of feedback from parents that they do not want a kids lot on the Burnham Strip because of the proximity to the highway. And so that's another reason, you know, how all this fits together. Everything is interconnected, why the post office lot would be good for this district to have, because we can put the kids lot over there and set it back away from the 2 streets, away from Obispo, away from Portola, in a really safe place. And, you know, so that's another thing we need to think about. And I want to toss out another couple of, you know, just demonstration concepts of the utility of a district that can do multiple things. If we have our office building, meeting room building on the corner there with the plaza that Dan has sketched out, we could broadcast Wi-Fi from the building, and the people sitting there in the plaza could be sitting there with their laptops looking at the ocean. That's something that's going to be really difficult to do in any other way if we don't have our building right there with the plaza there. And you know, we can probably get the Wi-Fi extenders and extend it out to the real close by part of the Burnham Strip property also. You know, where we're likely to at some point have the picnic tables and benches and stuff. Another synergy, that's the word I was looking for a minute ago that I couldn't remember. Another synergy would be, you know, again, if we have our building there on the corner, we really, really, really need public restrooms for the Burnham Strip Park. And that would be the obvious thing to do. The restrooms would be on the first floor of that building with our meeting, our staff office space on the second floor, and assuming there isn't a huge public outcry, you know, this would be a relatively small building, a tiny footprint on that parcel. Is there a problem recording? Hopefully we can get community buy-in to have it'd be a 3-story building with the meeting room on the 3rd floor, which would maximize the rental value of it because of the substantial view you would have from a 3rd floor meeting room. And, you know, we're only talking about like a 1,000 to 1,500 foot footprint for the building, which, you know, a tiny fraction of that parcel. But, just the fact that we build the building, it can include the public restrooms on the first floor, and, very convenient to the park. So that's how it all fits together with a district like this. And of course, I don't even need to mention the concept of a district that's doing sanitary at parks. It's like, that fits together really well.
You do that. What we said a couple times is that we need to launch the process, and that seems to be getting the community input method launched.
Yes.
Do you think we can gather the alternatives so at the meeting next week that can be decided and actually launch that as soon as possible? Or we just got too many things
It's
on
just
the agenda?
too, yeah. I mean, we've got it, like we said, we have the agendas go out supposedly tomorrow.
Is it your plan that, to the extent practical, we'll have some meetings that are primarily sewer stuff and some meetings that are primarily Parks and Rec stuff?
I think we're going to have to play that by ear. It all depends. If it's a big initiative, it's going to take a lot of time. If we decide on the plan, for instance, whatever it is, that plan we decide on, then yeah, that's a standalone meeting because I think it's important. We don't want to have people have to sit through. And just from a timing standpoint, it'll go 5 hours. No one wants to be in a meeting 5 hours. So.
Okay, I see a hand in the back, but I don't know your name.
Steve Stock.
Steve Stock. Now I remember hearing the name.
Yeah, congratulations, and I appreciate what everybody's done. First time I've been to a Granada Sanitary District meeting, so this is new to me. I wanted to be involved. I want to know what's going on. I would encourage the board, from sitting through this, there's a lot of general ideas and a lot of advanced thinking. I know a lot of people in the community have been putting a lot of their heart and their passion into visualizing what possibilities are. And that's wonderful, but you guys got a huge job to do. I would say, think about some baby steps, and I agree that you've got to come up with a plan pretty quickly on how you're going to involve the community. And I know that pursuing the lot's important to the board. Don't let that take away from the focus of the entire project of what you're trying to achieve and in those long-term goals. So Vice President Warren's coming up with a lot of creative ideas, but I would encourage the board to make better use of the time. As being the first time that I've been to your meeting, it seems like we haven't gotten very far in way over an hour, and I have no idea how you guys are going to approach this and go about it. And I'm just one citizen, but you better come up with a clear message, all board members, on how you're going to do that and be able to sell it. If tonight's an example of that, I would not say it's a success, but it is your first meeting, so everybody's going to cut you a lot of slack. But I hope I start hearing some things about, I know this has to be overwhelming, of how the plan you're going to use to get there. So I will continue to be here in your audience and support you in doing that, because I've lived here for 35 years. I've raised my family here. It is a jewel. I want to do it right. I want to make sure it's done right. So with that, you'll see my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, not sure where we want to go next. One of the other things I want to toss out, and this is not a short-term, quick project, but I know that this is important to quite a number of people, and coming up with the right solution to this is going to be contentious, and that's a skate park. There's a number of people that think that the current location is not good. So one of the things I want to toss out for people to think about, and I'm glad Sam is here because he can probably help a lot in the research on this. The district owns a property that's about 3,500 square feet, and I'll point out roughly where it is. It's all the way at the end of North Capistrano. It's somewhere in here. I can't read this well enough to tell you exactly where it is, but it's about over there, so it's on the opposite side of the highway. It's fairly close to Capistrano, but it's landlocked, although I found out that the parcel that separates our parcel from Capistrano is owned by the county, so somehow I think we could work out something for access. And so at 3,500 square feet, the people that I've talked to in the community think that it would be fantastic if, the skate people I've talked to in the community think it'd be fantastic if we could basically turn that parcel over to them and let them build their own skate park there. And so, one of the ideas I had is basically the district would provide the insurance for it, subject to all the legal things that protect us, and there's a number of legal requirements for running a skate park and minimizing your legal liability, but I think that's probably all doable. And then the skate park people could, using their own resources, build the skate park subject to our design approval. I got the idea when the fiasco happened with the Moss Beach skate park that was illegally done on somebody's property and then got unceremoniously suddenly kicked off. Then I found out about it. I hadn't even known about it, but this was all done with volunteer people and bringing in their own materials. So if we could do something like that, but. I checked the zoning, and of course the parcel's on PAD, but I checked the PAD chapter, and it allows public recreation, commercial recreation, and it's not clear the skate park fits in with any of the listed uses, but then there's an exit that says, or anything else that the planning director deems consistent with the intent of this chapter. So, maybe Sam could look into that and tell us if that seems practical or not. And, of course, we'd want to hear from a lot more people whether they think that the isolation of that property is a problem or not. Because I have some concerns about the isolation, but on the other hand, it has the advantage that we're not going to hear from people that the noise is disturbing them, like happened earlier with the skate ramp that appeared out there a couple of years ago. So, that's something else we should keep on the list of things to think about and see if we can make that happen. Dave?
I don't get a chance to talk this way until I retire, I guess. First of all, congratulations. I think you got a great opportunity. It's kind of like you finally caught the tiger and you got the tail right now. But I would say there are a couple of things I've learned in my experience that I think you have an opportunity to do right now. Go slow to go fast. And the go slow part is asking the public what it is they had in mind. It's going to be, that, it's going to be a huge list that you're going to have to work through down to getting those priorities in line that are manageable given what you have to work with. And I think that'll be the best investment at the front end, and take your time and get the public engaged. You were talking a little earlier about engagement tools. There are a number of communities like Portland, Oregon that does their full engagement through an internet site and gets a lot of feedback that way. So there are a number of them that are out there, and a number of us could probably help with some ideas on that, especially where not too long ago we looked at this in the county, although we may not have used it yet. We got a lot of good ideas on folks who were using it. So that's one way where you can keep an open forum going. The other thing is you got a tremendous amount of resource here and people that have experience in this that'll be willing to volunteer their time. And in your partnership with the county, back to your point, Leonard, about the cost for permits and that, I would probably try to leverage that a little bit. If you're both putting them in, it would seem like, and I can't speak for the county, but anymore, but it would seem like we ought to be able to leverage that a little bit and reduce that load. delivering services to the general public. But I'd say draw on a lot of these resources we have out here, even to run the public meetings. And I just want to offer my help. I live here. I've been engaged on the coast for a little while and looking at how we can enhance recreation, and I would be more than willing to help with that. Thanks.
I probably don't have a current email address for you. Could you send that to me?
Sure.
So I still have the same address that you've always had for me, so just send me.
I have yours.
Yeah, send me contact information. Thanks. And
I didn't delete it when I retired.
There's a separate folder.
There's still time, Dick.
No. So I appreciate the offer. I think that's great. And, you know, hopefully we'll get a lot more people interested in volunteering. So do we want to take a break and open up the chocolate chip
Well,
cookies?
I'd probably suggest at this point that you just pass consent, close the meeting, and celebrate.
Well, we can do that. You know, we can probably let the camera run a few minutes past the end of the meeting, maybe. Oh, I see another hand.
Actually, just to dovetail with what you're saying.
Could you come to the microphone so that people watching the recording later will hear you?
Okay, you mentioned as far as a forum and so on, I'm part of that next door El Granada thing, and I mean, there's all kinds of traffic on that it's a system that's already in place that you put something out on it, you're going to get a lot of feedback for whatever the topic is. So that may be something that's already there that doesn't have to be time invested or money invested into.
Yeah, that's one of the things we did toss out earlier. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
That's okay.
So we will go to. Oh, I forgot. We also have to reconvene well, we had to reorder the agenda. We still have 3 closed session items to do after the.
We actually don't have any.
We can pass those.
We can pass on this.
But have we done the consent?
Yeah.
All right, so okay, we have items 6, 7, 8, and 9, the consent agenda. Is there anything to be held for discussion, or is there a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, and that's item 6, the special and regular meeting minutes for August 21st. Item 7, the September 2014 warrants. Item 8, the August 2014 financial statements. And item 9, assessment district distribution number 2-14/15. Is there a second, or is there a motion? No, there was a motion. Is there a second?
Second. I second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Chuck, did we blow our entire parks budget on the cookies, or did we for this month? Or?
I'll play it. I'll move some things around.
So we're not playing. Stay with you.
I thought of a great idea.
It's going to take time. We're going to play it by ear.
You didn't ask him for his name.
I think so, just nothing else, just meet everybody and kind of kick it off. I mean, I was laughing when Marlene sent that email around our communications. We've been at CSD for 8 days, and no one's telling you we have that meeting. So I think we'll do better on that in the future, certainly.
Different ideas floating in there.
What we're going to do Yeah, I thought initially. Well, I think a lot of it's going to be us, really, especially since you were the guy who did the. Yeah, so what I'm going to try is it's such a big. We got to win it down to smaller pieces. All right.
And then I came by here and I said, can we see little cars? And then I said,
We have a comment, let me do a comment. Because we could have been told that it was done 25 years ago. People aren't going to be doing